North Yorkshire is England's biggest county, covering more than 3,300 square miles. With rustic coastlines and picturesque villages, at its northern tip is the village of Staithes and the nearby abandoned harbour of Port Mulgrave. My journey started on a freezing cold February morning where it was -4 degrees on the A19 as I headed north. The roads were super icy, but with it being winter, parking was free at the top of the village, and from here I made my way down the steep road into the picturesque fishing port. I've been really lucky to visit Staithes loads of times. It's a great place for a family holiday, so it feels super familiar to me, but I've never seen it this quiet. I guess that's one of the perks of being awake at 7:30 on a Sunday morning. The streets here are barely wide enough to get a car through, and it's full of winding lanes and cute cottages, home to artists and fishermen alike. Staithes is actually home to one of the narrowest alleyways in England, known as Dog Loop. At just 60 centimetres wide, it's a real squeeze to get through. I didn't manage to find that myself, but I did find the lovely harbour where the fishermen's boats tie up, and despite the seabird calls, it was a lovely place to spend a Sunday morning. You can actually cross the border here, although you won't be needing your passport. If you head across the river, then you'll find yourself in neighbouring Redcar and Cleveland, not North Yorkshire. How many villages can say that they're in two places at once? Staying true to its roots, Staithes is still a fishing port, although tourism now plays a massive part in the area's local economy. The area's got some really strong and interesting maritime links though, with the explorer Captain Cook having spent his youth here. I believe he spent his time working at a grocer's. One of the reasons that the narrow streets here are so quiet is because a lot of these places are actually holiday lets, and that's the reason that the former village butcher's is now a fudge shop. However, I would highly recommend dropping in here if you're looking for a sweet treat, as I did at the end of my walk. Super friendly welcome, and the fudge was great too. At the heart of the village is Barras Square. You can imagine fishermen sharing tales here, maybe after a pint at the pub, the Cod and Lobster. There's actually folklore from the village which tells a story of mermaids caught in the harbour. Brought ashore by the villagers, they were kept prisoner, and when they were eventually released, they supposedly left a curse on the village, saying that the water from the sea will flow to Jackdaw's well, the local village water source. Coastal erosion means the well has now fallen into the sea, so maybe the curse did come true after all. It's not known when the story comes from, but it's a great tale. So I've come down to the beach on the edge of the village, and you can see just behind me that there's a fishing boat. Once upon a time, back in the 1800s, Staithes would have been one of the most important fishing ports in England. Staithes actually means landing place, although it wasn't just fish that was hauled up here. Smugglers also used to work this coast, plying their trade through a network of caves that are hidden in the cliffs along the coastline. It's thought that one of the shops in the village actually had a secret room to hide things in. It's not just smuggling and fish that this area is known for though. It's also known for mining. Today I'm going to head along the coastal path to an old abandoned mining port. There's a harbour there, there's some old mine shafts, and it looks like there's a little bit more of a shanty town. So really looking forward to it. The weather is finally on our side. As you can see, it's a glorious day here. If I look cold, it's because I am. However, at least it's not raining. We've had weeks of rain and I've been dying to get out. The path takes you along the top of the cliffs, and I'm super looking forward to this walk. So hopefully it'll be a great one. Leaving the tranquil harbour behind, the path steeply climbs out of the valley and away from picturesque Staithes, and it's not long before you're on the cliff top. I've just done the short but quite steep climb up out of the village, and I'm now on like the top of the cliffs. Oh, it is glorious up here. Because Staithes is in a bit of a dip, you don't really get much sunlight. The houses must be really dark and cold in winter, so just passing by this old farm building with a very classic North Yorkshire red roof. Apparently this path that I'm on is very muddy, like somebody has just passed me and told me that, so it could be an interesting 20 minutes or so, but it's about a mile to Port Mulgrave. and I'm really looking forward to it. So it used to be that you used to have to scramble down the side of the cliff holding onto a rope, but I am told reliably that they have improved access and that there's new steps. So fingers crossed, otherwise I think we'll be doing a lot of slipping and sliding today. So I'm about halfway down now towards Port Mulgrave. You can actually see it just down behind me, which is super exciting. Hear the rumble of the waves as well. So the new path that I was on about, not quite finished. From what I can tell, there's a big pile of gravel there. Look at this rope tied onto the bench, and then it goes down there. So before the path was improved, you have to scale the rope to get down. And I once nearly did it and then backed out doing it. I'm actually now glad that I didn't. It is so muddy. So I'm gonna sit and have a little cuppa on the bench, and I'm gonna head down into the village itself. Out of all the places that I've visited in the UK, Port Mulgrave has one of the strangest feelings of them all. Right at the bottom of the cliff, there's this collection of fishermen's huts made out of anything that can be found. The port was established in the 1850s by a man called Sir Charles Palmer. He owns the local mine and he was digging up ironstone, but he needed a way to get it from under the ground to where it was needed in Tyneside. So there begins the story of Port Mulgrave. At the peak of its use, there would have been men from across the UK working here, along with steam railways and piers. One of the people who owns the hut here told me that the miners needed to fish for extra food, which gave rise to the fishing huts on the plots you see today. You're not allowed to build a new hut here, but if it's on the plot of an existing one from back in the 1850s, then you're good to go. But builder beware, landslides from the cliffs above mean that the huts here are at risk of being crushed. That's actually happened before, and some of them are still under the ground. Fortunately, there was no one here when that happened, so nobody was hurt, but it definitely could have been a lot worse. Port Mulgrave really had a feel of one of those deserted desert towns where people live on the edge of civilization. Just stopped exploring for a minute. I've just had a really interesting conversation with one of the guys that has a hut down here. So as I said earlier, this area is really well known for its mining, and there was actually a mine that came out of a tunnel in the cliff behind me. It's bricked up now, so you can't get to it, and all this area down by the sea would have been developed into like a port. There was like railway tracks and like wooden piers and stuff. When World War II came around, they were basically worried that the Germans would invade and use the mine to get further inland. It went 5 miles inland. Can you believe that? The huts are all sort of built out of, bits that everything has to come down the cliff, which is absolutely unreal. It's really difficult to land a boat here. And he said that when people have falls and get injured, they have to be helicoptered out because of the terrain. Just an incredible place, absolutely amazing. One of the most unique spots that I visited. Lovely spot for a brew on a sunny afternoon. I think if the weather was wet and wild like it has been for the past couple of weeks, though, it would definitely feel quite inhospitable. One of the hut owners that I spoke to was really keen to make sure that anybody who comes here is appropriately dressed and knows the risks. This looks like a lovely place to visit, but it can definitely be really dangerous. But I guess with danger comes interest. This place is amazing for finding fossils on the beach, and whilst I didn't find any myself, you could hear the tap 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 of people hunting for them. So how do you visit here yourself? Well, Staithes is quite isolated on the Yorkshire coast. It's around probably an hour and a half from Newcastle, 2 hours from Leeds and 3 hours from Manchester. Port Mulgrave is about a half an hour to 45-minute walk along the cliffs to get there. It's definitely worth it. This part of England is absolutely beautiful, and on a sunny day you really cannot beat it, especially exploring somewhere as unique as Port Mulgrave. I can't imagine that it'll be long until I'm back here exploring the coves and the little village once again. Well, that's all we've got time for this time. Thanks so much for watching. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and leave me a little comment. See you next time.